Anna Mercer learned early that love was often measured in the things nobody noticed. It was in the grocery bags carried through the rain, the bills paid before anyone remembered they were due, the doctor's appointments written on the calendar, the birthday cakes picked up after a 12-hour shift, and the quiet phone calls made late at night when someone in the family was afraid and did not want to admit it. For most of her adult life, Anna had been the person who noticed everything. She was the oldest of 3 children, and in the Mercer family that had somehow become less of a fact and more of a job description. When Anna was 32, her father, Robert, suffered a serious heart attack. He survived, but the event changed the rhythm of the family. He could no longer work long days at the small construction company he had built from nothing. Anna's mother, Elaine, tried to keep the household running as if nothing had happened, but she was overwhelmed. Anna's younger brother, Mark, lived 2 states away and was trying to launch a business. Her sister, Sophie, had 2 children and a marriage that seemed to be permanently balancing on the edge of an argument. So Anna did what she had always done. She stepped in. At first, she told herself it was temporary. She moved from her apartment in the city back to the suburb where she had grown up. She arranged her work so she could spend 3 days a week at the office and 2 days working from the dining room table in her parents' house. She drove her father to rehabilitation. She helped her mother sort insurance paperwork. She repaired the leaky kitchen faucet, hired a roofer, organized medications, cooked enough food to freeze for the week, and learned to recognize the particular silence that meant her father was frightened about the future. The Mercer house was not grand, but it mattered to all of them. Robert had bought it with Elaine when Anna was 4. It was the place where Mark had broken his arm trying to jump from the garage roof, where Sophie had practiced piano badly for 7 years, where Anna had sat on the back steps with her first college acceptance letter shaking in her hands. The maple tree in the yard had been planted the year the twins next door were born. The hallway still had faint pencil marks showing the children's heights at different ages. Every room contained a family story. After Robert's heart attack, the house also became expensive. There was still a mortgage from a refinancing years earlier, property taxes had climbed, and Robert's medical bills drained what little savings he and Elaine had. Anna did not tell her siblings how bad things were at first. She assumed they had enough worries of their own. She began quietly covering gaps. $500 one month, $800 the next. Then the furnace failed in January, and Anna paid nearly $6,000 to replace it. When the roof began leaking that spring, she used most of the emergency fund she had spent years building. Her father protested every time. "You have your own life," he would say. Anna always smiled. "This is part of my life." Elaine would squeeze her hand and promise, "We will make it right someday." Anna never asked what that meant. She did not want repayment. She wanted her parents safe. 2 years passed, then 3. Anna's city apartment became a memory. She moved permanently into the small bedroom at the back of the house, the same room where she had slept as a teenager. Her colleagues stopped inviting her to happy hour because she almost always declined. A relationship with a kind man named David slowly faded because Anna was constantly canceling plans. He never blamed her, which somehow made the ending worse. "You keep giving everyone the version of you they need," he told her during their last dinner together. "I just don't know if there is anything left for you." Anna resented him for saying it, mostly because she suspected he was right. Mark visited twice a year. He arrived with expensive gifts, loud stories, and the confidence of someone who lived far enough away to believe a weekend visit counted as involvement. He loved his parents. Anna never doubted that, but he loved them in a way that did not interrupt his schedule. Sophie lived only 40 minutes away, yet she was often swamped. The children had school. Her husband had unpredictable hours. There was always soccer, dentist appointments, a broken appliance, a disagreement with a teacher, or a crisis involving one of Sophie's friends. When Elaine asked for help, Sophie usually began with, "I wish I could, but..." Anna almost never said those words. The family began to treat her availability as permanent. If Robert had an appointment, Anna would handle it. If the bank sent a confusing letter, Anna would read it. If Elaine's car made a strange sound, Anna would take it to the mechanic. If the house needed repairs, everyone waited for Anna to notice. She did notice, she always noticed. On Robert and Elaine's 40th wedding anniversary, the whole family gathered at the house. Mark flew in with his wife, Denise. Sophie brought her children and husband. The backyard filled with folding tables, strings of lights, old photographs, and the kind of laughter that made Anna believe every sacrifice had been worth it. During dinner, Robert stood slowly and tapped a spoon against his glass. "I want to say something," he announced. Everyone quieted. He thanked them for coming. He talked about 40 years of marriage, about mistakes and second chances, about the miracle of watching children become adults. Then he looked directly at Anna. "And I especially want to thank our oldest girl," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't know where your mother and I would be without her." Anna looked down because she knew she would cry if she met his eyes. Mark raised his glass, to Anna, the family manager. Everyone laughed affectionately. Sophie added, "Seriously, she runs all of us." Anna laughed too. But something in the words stung. Family manager, not daughter, not sister, manager. Later that night, after the guests left, Robert asked Anna to sit with him on the porch. Elaine joined them carrying 3 cups of tea. "We've been talking," Robert said. Anna, instantly worried that something was wrong. Elaine smiled, "Nothing bad." Robert looked toward the house. "This place is all we really have, and you've put more into keeping it than anyone should have had to." "Dad, I don't need." "Let me finish," he said. "When we're gone, the house will belong to the 3 of you. Equal shares, that's what we've always intended. But before anything is divided, we want the money you've put into the house returned to you." Anna shook her head. "I didn't keep receipts." Elaine gave her a look. "Of course you did." Anna laughed because it was true. Robert reached over and covered her hand with his. "You shouldn't lose your future because you helped us keep ours." The sentence stayed with Anna for years. For a while, things improved. Robert grew stronger. Anna returned to the office more often. She even began looking at apartments again, though she never quite took the final step. She had become attached to the mornings with her parents, to coffee with her father before sunrise, to hearing her mother sing badly while making dinner. Then Mark's business collapsed. He had started a home renovation supply company with a friend. For several years, it seemed successful. Mark posted photographs of new offices, warehouse expansions, employee parties, and business awards. He bought a luxury SUV and moved into a larger house. Whenever anyone worried that he was growing too fast, he laughed. "You have to spend money to make money," he said. The problem was that Mark had spent money he did not have. One autumn, he called Anna at midnight. "I need you not to panic," he said. That sentence always makes people panic. "I might lose the business." Anna sat up in bed. Mark explained that a major client had defaulted, loans were coming due, and his partner had made several disastrous purchasing decisions. He needed cash quickly or the company would close. "How much?" Anna asked. There was a long silence. 200,000. Anna nearly laughed because the number was so far outside anything she could fix. "Mark, I don't have $200,000. "I know." Something in his voice made her uneasy. "What are you asking me?" "Nothing, not yet." The next few weeks were filled with whispered conversations. Mark called their parents often. He flew home twice without telling Anna until he was already there. When Anna entered the kitchen, conversations stopped. Elaine looked nervous. Robert became irritable whenever money was mentioned. One Sunday morning, Anna found Mark sitting at the dining room table with a folder of documents. "What is that?" she asked. "Business stuff." "Why are you doing business stuff here?" He closed the folder. "Can you not interrogate me?" Anna stared at him. "I'm asking one question." "You always ask one question that turns into 20. The resentment in his voice surprised her. "Where is this coming from?" Mark pushed back his chair. "Forget it." He left the room carrying the folder. That afternoon, Anna asked her mother what was happening. Elaine busied herself loading the dishwasher. "Your brother is going through a difficult time." "I know that." "He's scared." "I know that too." "He doesn't need everyone judging him." Anna felt something shift inside her. Who is judging him? Elaine did not answer. A week later, Sophie called. "Can I ask you something without you getting defensive?" Anna closed her eyes. That depends entirely on what you ask. Have you ever thought about what happens with mom and dad's house? Anna sat straighter. What about it? I mean long term. We all know what happens long term. It gets divided equally. Right, but you live there. And so Mark thinks you expect to keep it. Anna almost dropped the phone. Mark thinks what? He said mom and dad are worried that if something happens to them, you might claim the house because you've been paying for things. For several seconds, Anna could not speak. Did mom say that? Well, Mark said. Did mom say that? No. Did dad? No. Anna stood up and began pacing. Sophie, dad literally told all of us the house would be divided equally. I know, I'm just telling you what Mark said. And you believed him. I didn't say I believed him. You called me to ask whether I planned to steal our parents' house. That is not what I said. It is exactly what you said with nicer words. Sophie exhaled impatiently. This is why nobody can talk to you about money. Anna stopped pacing. Nobody. The word echoed. Who is nobody? She asked. What? You said nobody can talk to me about money. Who has been talking about me? Sophie went quiet. Anna felt cold. What has Mark been telling you? Anna, don't make this into. What has he been telling you? Sophie finally admitted that Mark had told her Anna kept detailed records of everything she spent on their parents, because she intended to claim a larger share of the estate. He said Anna had become controlling, that she discouraged their parents from making financial decisions without her, that she had quietly positioned herself to inherit the house. Every accusation contained a distorted fragment of truth. Anna did keep records because their parents had asked her to. She did review financial decisions because Robert's medications sometimes made him foggy and Elaine hated paperwork. She did live in the house because someone had needed to be there. Mark had taken every sacrifice and rearranged it until it looked like a scheme. Do you believe that? Anna asked. Sophie hesitated too long. Anna's eyes filled. Well, it's Anna. No, that's enough. She ended the call. That evening she confronted her parents. Robert looked genuinely confused. Elaine looked guilty. Mark says you're afraid I'm trying to take the house, Anna said. Robert's face hardened. That's ridiculous. Anna looked at her mother. Elaine sat slowly at the kitchen table. Mom, I never said you were trying to take anything. But Elaine rubbed her palms together. Mark is in trouble. Anna waited. He asked whether we could help him. With what money? Robert looked away. Anna's stomach dropped. The house. Elaine's eyes filled with tears, just alone against it. Anna stared at them. You refinanced the house. Not yet, Robert said quickly. But you're considering it. He could lose everything, Elaine whispered. Anna tried to understand. You still owe money on this house. You have retirement expenses. Dad's medical costs haven't disappeared. How could you possibly borrow $200,000? We wouldn't borrow that much, Robert said. How much? Neither answered. How much? 150, Elaine said. Anna stood completely still. It was almost exactly the amount of equity left after the existing mortgage. If his business fails anyway, what happens? Robert's jaw tightened. He says it won't. He said the same thing before it failed enough to need $150,000. Anna, Elaine warned. No, you want me not to judge him? Fine, I'm not judging him. I'm asking whether you can afford to lose this house. Robert pushed himself up. It's my house. The words struck harder than he intended. Anna saw regret cross his face immediately, but he did not take them back. Yes, she said quietly, it is. She walked out of the kitchen. For 2 days Anna barely spoke to anyone. She knew her father was right in one sense. The house belonged to Robert and Elaine. They had the legal right to borrow against it. they had the right to help Mark. What hurt was not the possibility of losing an inheritance. Anna had never built her life around receiving one. What hurt was that for years she had poured her savings into keeping the house secure, and now the family was considering risking that security without even including her in the conversation. On the third night, Robert knocked on her bedroom door. "I shouldn't have said it like that," he told her. Anna sat on the edge of the bed. "But you meant it." "I meant that your mother and I need to make our own decisions." "I'd agree." He looked surprised. Anna continued, "But if you make a decision that destroys the financial stability I have spent years helping you build, I need to know whether you still expect me to fix the consequences." Robert's expression softened. "I don't know," he admitted. "That is the problem." He sat beside her. "We're not trying to hurt you." "I know." "Mark is our son." "I know." "If it were you." Anna looked at him. "If it were me, I would never ask you to risk your house to save a company I drove into debt." Robert sighed. "You've always been different." Anna almost smiled. "That's what everyone says when they mean I should need less." Her father had no answer. For another month, nothing happened, or at least Anna believed nothing happened. Mark stopped calling her. Sophie sent occasional messages about the children. Elaine became unusually cheerful whenever Anna asked about finances, which should have been a warning. Then one Tuesday afternoon, Anna came home early because a client meeting had been canceled. A black sedan was parked in the driveway. Inside the dining room, Mark sat beside Elaine. Across from them was a man in a gray suit Anna did not recognize. Papers covered the table. Everyone froze when she entered. The man stood politely. "You must be Anna." She looked at the folder in front of her mother. "Who are you?" He introduced himself as a loan officer. Anna felt the room tilt. "Are you refinancing the house today?" Elaine started to speak, but Mark interrupted. "Don't do this." Anna turned toward him. "Don't do what?" "Make a scene." "A stranger is sitting at the table where I work every week, helping our parents put the house into debt to save your business, and you're telling me not to make a scene." The loan officer looked deeply uncomfortable. Robert came in from the garage and stopped. "Anna." She looked at him. "You knew." He did not answer. That was answer enough. Anna's chest tightened, but she forced her voice to stay calm. "How much?" Mark stood. "This doesn't concern you." Anna laughed once without humor. "Of course it concerns me." "No, it doesn't. That's exactly the issue. You think everything in this family runs through you." "I think decisions that may leave Mom and Dad without a house should concern all of us." "They aren't going to lose the house." "You don't know that." "I know my business." "Apparently not." The insult landed. Mark's face changed. "There it is," he said, "the judgment." Anna looked at him in disbelief. He pointed toward the stack of papers. "You think because you've been here doing errands and keeping spreadsheets, you're somehow more entitled to an opinion than the rest of us." "Doing errands." "Mark," Elaine said softly. But he was angry now, and anger made him reckless. "Yes, errands. You act like you've sacrificed your whole life for Mom and Dad, but nobody asked you to move in. Nobody asked you to make yourself indispensable." Anna felt as though he had slapped her. Mark continued. "Maybe you like everyone needing you. Maybe that's why you're so upset, because for once we're making a decision without your permission." The room went silent. Anna looked from Mark to Sophie, who had apparently entered through the front door during the argument. Sophie stood near the hallway holding her purse, eyes lowered. "You knew too," Anna said. Sophie swallowed. "I thought Mom and Dad had made up their minds." "And you didn't tell me." "I didn't want another fight." Anna looked at her parents. Elaine was crying now. Robert seemed suddenly older than he had that morning. The loan officer quietly gathered his papers. "I can give the family some privacy," he said. "No," Mark snapped, "we're finishing this." Anna held up one hand. Yes, she said, finish it. Everyone looked at her. She walked to the table and picked up the refinance document. The number was printed clearly near the top. $175,000. She read it twice. You told me 150. Elaine whispered there were fees. Anna put the paper down. She felt something inside her become very quiet. For years she had imagined betrayal would feel explosive. She thought there would be shouting, slammed doors, dramatic accusations. Instead, the deepest betrayal felt like exhaustion. It felt like realizing that the people you loved had held a meeting about the future you had helped protect and decided your presence would only make things inconvenient. Anna looked at Mark. You told Sophie I wanted the house. Mark crossed his arms. I said you had an interest in it. No, you told her I was positioning myself to take it. I said what it looked like. Anna nodded slowly. And while you were convincing everyone that my help was suspicious, you were asking Mom and Dad to put almost every dollar of their home equity into your company. Mark's face reddened. This isn't about you. Anna looked at her parents. That's the first true thing anyone has said. She walked upstairs. Elaine followed her. Anna, please. Anna pulled a suitcase from the closet. Her mother stopped in the doorway. What are you doing? Leaving. Don't be ridiculous. Anna folded shirts with strangely steady hands. I need to go before I say things I can't take back. This is your home. Anna stopped and looked at her. No, Mom, Dad made that very clear. It is your home, and you're allowed to do whatever you want with it. Elaine began crying harder. We weren't trying to exclude you. You arranged the loan meeting when you thought I would be at work. Elaine opened her mouth and closed it. Anna nodded. Exactly. Where will you go? I'll figure it out. You can't just walk away from the family. Anna zipped the suitcase. I am not walking away because you helped Mark. I'm walking away because all of you decided that the only way to help him was to turn me into the enemy. Elaine shook her head. I never thought you were the enemy. Then, why did you let him talk about me like I was one? That question broke something in her mother. Elaine sat down on the bed and covered her face. Anna wanted to comfort her. The instinct was immediate and almost unbearable. She had spent years responding to her mother's tears by fixing whatever caused them. This time, Anna picked up her suitcase. I love you, she said, but I can't fix this for you. She left. Anna drove for almost an hour without knowing where she was going. The suitcase sat in the back seat beside a grocery bag containing the medications she had picked up for her father that morning. When she noticed the bag at a red light, she began to laugh. It came out as a broken sound that turned into tears before she could stop it. Even while leaving, she had remembered his prescriptions. She pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour pharmacy and cried until the windshield blurred. Then she called David. They had not spoken in nearly a year. He answered on the fourth ring. Zgane. Hearing her name in his voice almost made her hang up. I know this is strange, she said. I need the name of that extended stay hotel your company used when your apartment flooded. There was a pause. Are you okay? And yes. You sound like you're crying. I'm not okay. Another pause, gentler this time. Where are you? She told him. Stay there, he said. I'm 10 minutes away. You don't have to. I know. He arrived with coffee and did not ask her to explain until she was ready. They sat in his car because Anna could not bear to be alone. When she finally told him what had happened, he listened without interrupting. At the end, Anna wiped her face and said, The worst part is that maybe Mark is right. David frowned. About what? Maybe I did make myself indispensable. Maybe I needed them to need me. Those are two different things. What do you mean? You can get identity from helping people and still have genuinely helped them. One doesn't cancel the other. Anna stared at the lid of her coffee cup. I don't know who I am if I'm not fixing something. David leaned back. Then maybe this is the first chance you've had to find out. The words frightened her more than anything Mark had said. Anna rented a furnished studio apartment for 3 months. It was small, plain, and so quiet that the first night she barely slept. She kept waking up expecting to hear her father coughing in the hallway or her mother opening kitchen cabinets before dawn. Instead, there was only the hum of the refrigerator and traffic from the street below. Her phone filled with messages. Elaine called 6 times the first day, Robert twice. Sophie sent paragraphs explaining that she had not meant to take sides. Mark sent one message. You are overreacting. Come home when you calm down. Anna stared at the screen for a long time before deleting it. She did not block anyone, she simply stopped responding. For the first week, she felt guilty every hour. At 7 in the morning, she wondered whether her father had taken his medication. At noon, she remembered the property tax bill. On Wednesday, she realized the refrigerator water filter was due to be changed. On Thursday, she remembered her mother's dentist appointment. She almost called 3 times. Then she forced herself not to. She told herself they are adults. The sentence felt cruel at first. Then it began to feel true. At work, Anna's manager, Celeste, noticed the change immediately. You're here before me, Celeste said one morning. I used to be here before you. 4 years ago. Anna smiled faintly. Celeste hesitated. I didn't want to say this while you were dealing with your family, but there is a regional operations position opening next quarter. Anna looked up. You should apply. I can't travel that much. Why not? Anna opened her mouth automatically. My parents. The words did not come out. Celeste saw something change in her expression. Think about it, she said. Anna did. At home, the refinance closed 3 days after Anna left. Robert signed first. Elaine signed after staring at the final page for nearly 5 minutes. Mark promised he would make the payments himself. You won't have to worry about anything, he said. Those words should have sounded reassuring. Instead, Elaine heard Anna's voice in her head asking, if his business fails anyway, what happens? For 2 months, Mark's plan appeared to work. He paid overdue suppliers, renegotiated contracts, and stabilized payroll. He called his parents every few days with encouraging updates. We're turning the corner, he said. Robert wanted to believe him. Elaine needed to. Sophie tried to fill some of the space Anna had left. She came by on Saturdays, brought groceries, and drove Robert to one appointment. By the 3rd week, she was exhausted. I don't know how Anna did this, she told her husband. He looked at her over the top of his laptop. Probably by giving up everything else. Sophie bristled. That's dramatic. Is it? She did not answer. The first real problem came when Robert missed a follow-up cardiology appointment because Elaine wrote the wrong date on the calendar. Nothing terrible happened, but Robert was embarrassed and the clinic charged a missed appointment fee. Then the homeowner's insurance payment was late. Then the garbage disposal stopped working and nobody knew which plumber Anna usually called. Small things piled up. None was catastrophic. Together, they revealed the invisible architecture Anna had built around the family. Sophie began receiving more calls from Elaine. Do you know where Anna kept the warranty information? Do you remember what Dad's insurance portal password is? Which company services the furnace? Did Anna ever tell you when the property taxes are due? At first, Sophie answered patiently, then impatiently, then with shame because the answer was almost always no. One afternoon, she went into Anna's old room looking for a folder. The closet was mostly empty. On the desk sat a thick binder labeled House and Medical. Sophie opened it. Inside were years of organized records. Invoices, insurance documents, repair receipts, appointment summaries, medication lists, emergency contacts, tax records, account numbers, warranty information, and handwritten notes. Sophie flipped through page after page. Near the back was a spreadsheet of money Anna had contributed to the house. The total made Sophie sit down. $93,412. That did not include groceries, gas, missed work, or unpaid caregiving. Sophie stared at the number. Mark had told her Anna was keeping records because she intended to take more than her share. But on the first page, in Anna's handwriting, was a note dated years earlier. Mom and Dad asked me to track major expenses in case they ever want to repay me. I do not expect repayment. This is only so we know what was spent and why. Sophie read it twice. Her stomach tightened. She took photographs of several pages and sent them to Mark. Did you know about this? He responded 20 minutes later. Yes, that's what I told you about. Sophie typed back. You told me she was documenting it to claim the house. Mark replied. What difference does the reason make? She kept records. Sophie stared at the message. For the first time, she saw the manipulation clearly. Not because Mark had invented every fact, but because he had assigned motives to those facts and repeated them until everyone began treating his interpretation as truth. She called him. You lied to me. I did not. You made it sound like Anna was planning to take the house. I said I was worried she might. No, Mark, you said Mom and Dad were worried too. They were. I asked Mom, she said she never thought that. There was a pause. Look, I was under a lot of pressure. Sophie closed her eyes. So you made Anna the problem. She was trying to stop the loan. She was trying to stop our retired parents from risking their home on your business. My business employs 26 people. And that makes lying about your sister okay. Mark's voice sharpened. You signed off on it too. Sophie went silent. There it was, the truth she wanted to avoid. Mark had manipulated her, but she had cooperated. She had accepted the version of Anna that made it easier not to feel guilty about how little she had helped. If Anna was controlling, then Sophie's absence was not neglect. If Anna wanted the house, then her sacrifices were not sacrifices. If Anna enjoyed being indispensable, then the family did not owe her gratitude. Sophie had believed the story because the story protected her. I need to call her, she whispered. Mark laughed bitterly. Good luck. Anna did not answer Sophie's first 3 calls. On the 4th, Sophie left a voicemail. I found your binder. I saw what you spent. I saw the note. I know Mark lied about some things, but I also know I chose to believe him because it was easier for me. I am sorry. I don't expect you to call me back. I just needed to say that without making excuses. Anna listened to the voicemail twice. Then she put the phone down. She was not ready. She had begun therapy 2 weeks earlier, after waking from a dream in which the Mercer house was flooding, and everyone stood outside asking why she had not turned off the water. Her therapist, Dr. Patel, asked questions Anna found irritating because they had no easy answers. What do you believe will happen if you disappoint your family? They'll be upset. And then, I'll feel guilty. And then, Anna frowned. I don't know. What did you learn as a child about being the dependable one? Anna thought about it. Robert had worked long hours. Elaine had suffered from migraines. When Mark forgot homework, Anna reminded him. When Sophie was bullied in middle school, Anna walked her home. When family arguments became loud, Anna made jokes until people calmed down. Nobody had deliberately assigned her the role. It formed around her because she was capable and because everyone praised her for being capable. You're our rock, her mother had said 100 times. Anna had always heard love in those words. Now she heard weight. 3 months after leaving, Anna signed a lease on a 1-bedroom apartment overlooking a small park. She bought a blue sofa because she liked it, even though Elaine would have said it showed stains. She hung photographs that did not match. She left dishes in the sink overnight once just to prove she could. She applied for the regional operations position. Celeste interviewed her personally. You've been doing leadership work without the title for years, she said. Anna smiled. Apparently that's a theme in my life. She got the job. The salary increase was substantial. The travel frightened her, but the first time she checked into a hotel in another city for work, she stood at the window looking down at unfamiliar streets and felt something she had not felt in years. Possibility. David remained in her life carefully. He did not push for romance. They met for coffee, then dinner, then a Saturday walk. One evening, Anna apologized for how their relationship had ended. I kept expecting you to accept whatever time was left after everyone else took what they needed, she said. David nodded. That was true. I thought loving me meant understanding. I did understand. That didn't make it fair. No. Anna looked at him. I'm sorry. He smiled sadly. Thank you. Nothing dramatic happened after that. They simply kept seeing each other. Back at the Mercer house, Mark's business began failing again. At first he hid it. The company had survived the immediate crisis, but the underlying problems were deeper than unpaid invoices. His partner had left. A major supplier demanded stricter terms. 2 contracts were canceled. Mark had used most of the new money to pay old debt rather than restructuring the company. The first mortgage payment he promised to cover arrived on time. So did the second. The third was 10 days late. The fourth never came. Robert called him. It's just a timing problem, Mark said. When will it be paid? Next week. Next week became the week after that. Elaine paid the mortgage from their checking account. It left less than $1,000 for the rest of the month. Sophie found out when her mother called crying. Don't tell Anna, Elaine begged. Sophie closed her eyes. Mom, why not? Because she'll think she was right. Sophie felt a flash of anger. She was right. Elaine became quiet. That doesn't mean she wanted this to happen, Sophie added. I know. Do you? There was another silence. Sophie went to see Mark. His office looked nothing like the photographs he had posted years earlier. Half the desks were empty. Boxes were stacked near the reception area. The warehouse behind the building was quiet. Mark sat behind a desk covered in bills. How bad? Sophie asked. He did not pretend. Bad? Can you make Mom and Dad's payment? Not this month. Next month. He looked away. Sophie sat down. You told them they wouldn't have to worry. I believed that. You told all of us Anna was controlling because she didn't support the loan. Mark slammed a hand on the desk. I was trying to save this place. And what are Mom and Dad supposed to save? He rubbed his face. I know. No, I don't think you do. His eyes flashed. What do you want from me, Sophie? I already know I failed. She stared at him. For the first time, he looked less arrogant than terrified. I want you to stop making everyone else carry the shame for your decisions, she said. Mark looked down. The business closed 6 weeks later. 23 employees lost their jobs. Equipment was sold. Mark sold his SUV and then his house. He and Denise moved into a rental. The personal guarantees he had signed followed him even after the company disappeared. The money from the Mercer house was gone. Robert and Elaine now had a mortgage payment nearly 3 times larger than before. They could not afford it. For several weeks, Robert insisted they would find a way. He talked about returning to consulting work, but his stamina was limited. Elaine considered taking a part-time job despite having been retired for years. Sophie offered money, but her family could not cover the full amount consistently. Eventually, a financial advisor told them what nobody wanted to hear. They needed to sell the house. Elaine cried for 2 days. Robert barely spoke. Mark stopped visiting because he could not bear to look at them. Sophie called Anna. This time, Anna answered. Hi, Sophie said softly. Hi. The awkwardness felt almost physical. Sophie did not waste time. Mom and Dad have to sell the house. Anna closed her eyes. She had known this was possible. She had even imagined it, but hearing the words hurt more than she expected. What happened? Sophie explained. Anna stood by the window of her apartment, listening silently. When Sophie finished, she said, "Are they safe?" And yes. Can they afford somewhere else? They'll have some equity left after the sale, just not much. I'm helping them look at condos. Anna nodded, though Sophie could not see her. Okay. There was a long pause. Mom wants to talk to you. Anna's throat tightened. Not yet. I understand. Does she? Sophie sighed, she's starting to. Anna looked out at the park. What about Dad? He doesn't say much, but he keeps asking whether I've heard from you. Anna swallowed. And Mark. Another pause. He's not doing well. Anna felt several emotions at once: anger, vindication, sadness, and an old instinct to help. She hated the instinct. I'm sorry, she said. Sophie seemed surprised. You are? Of course I am. I didn't want his life destroyed. I wanted everyone to stop pretending I was cruel for seeing the risk. I know. Anna's voice hardened. Do you? Yes, Sophie said. Now I do. Anna believed her. A week later, Robert wrote Anna a letter. Not an email, not a text, a letter in the slanted handwriting she had known since childhood. Anna left it unopened on her kitchen counter for 3 days. When she finally read it, she had to sit down. Anna, I have started this letter 6 times because every version sounded like I was trying to explain myself. I don't want to explain myself. I want to apologize. You warned us because you were trying to protect us. I treated your warning like disrespect. Worse, I let your brother suggest that your years of help gave you selfish motives, because believing him made it easier for me to do what I wanted to do. When I told you it was my house, I was technically right and morally wrong. It was my name on the deed, but you had kept that roof over us more times than I can count. You never asked to own it. You only asked us not to risk it blindly. I am ashamed that I understood the value of your help only after you stopped giving it. We are selling the house. I thought that would be the hardest thing to write. It isn't. The hardest thing is this: I miss my daughter more than I will miss any house. I do not expect forgiveness because I am your father. I do not expect you to come back because your mother and I are struggling. I am asking only for the chance to listen when you are ready to speak. Love. Dad? Anna cried until the page softened beneath her fingers. She did not call immediately, but she placed the letter in a drawer instead of throwing it away. The house went on the market in early spring. Photographs appeared online showing rooms emptied of family clutter and staged with neutral furniture. Anna looked at the listing one night and felt as if strangers had entered her memories. The bedroom where Sophie once painted one wall purple was now described as a light-filled guest suite. The basement where Mark had built model airplanes was a flex recreation space. The porch where Robert had promised Anna her sacrifices would not cost her future was praised for excellent curb appeal. She closed the website. 2 days later, Sophie texted her. We are packing Saturday, you don't have to come, but there are things of yours here, and Mom won't let anyone touch them. Anna stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed, I'll come at 10. Saturday morning was bright and cold. Anna parked across the street because the driveway was crowded with cars. She sat behind the wheel for several minutes looking at the house. Nothing had changed, and everything had. Sophie saw her first. She came down the front steps carrying a cardboard box, stopped, and set it on the ground. For a moment, neither sister moved. Then Sophie walked toward her. Anna got out of the car. I didn't know if you'd really come, Sophie said. I almost didn't. Sophie nodded, fair. Anna noticed tears in her eyes. Sophie did not hug her. Anna appreciated that more than she could explain. Your stuff is upstairs, Sophie said. I made sure nobody went through it. Thanks. They walked toward the house together. Inside, boxes lined the hallway. Pictures had been removed from the walls, leaving pale rectangles behind. The house looked larger and less alive. Elaine was in the kitchen wrapping dishes in newspaper. When she saw Anna, she froze. Her hands began trembling. "Hi, Mom," Anna said. Elaine put down the plate she was holding. "Hi, sweetheart." Neither moved. Finally, Elaine whispered, "Can I hug you?" Anna's eyes filled instantly. She nodded. Her mother crossed the kitchen and wrapped her arms around her. Anna stiffened for 1 second, then collapsed into the embrace. Elaine cried against her shoulder. "I am so sorry," she repeated. "I am so sorry." Anna held her, but she did not say it was okay. Because it was not. And strangely, not saying those words made the hug more honest. Robert was in the garage. When Anna found him, he was sitting on an overturned bucket staring at a collection of old tools. He stood slowly. "You came." "I came." His eyes moved over her face as though checking whether she was really there. "I got your letter." He nodded. "Thank you for writing it." He swallowed. "I meant every word." "I know." There were 100 things Anna wanted to say. Anger had rehearsed them for months. But standing in the garage where her father had taught her to use a drill when she was 12, she discovered that anger was no longer the only thing she carried. "I don't know how to go back to how we were," she said. Robert's face crumpled slightly. "Maybe we shouldn't." Anna looked at him. He continued, "How we were wasn't fair to you." The simplicity of the statement undid her. She began crying. Robert stepped forward, then stopped, waiting. Anna closed the distance herself. He held her tightly. "I missed you, Dad. I missed you every day." Across the driveway, Mark sat inside his car watching through the windshield. He had arrived 20 minutes earlier and had not found the courage to go inside. Sophie eventually noticed him and walked out. "You planning to help from the car?" she asked. Mark looked exhausted. He had lost weight. His hair was longer than usual. The confidence that had once filled every room around him seemed gone. "I didn't know she was here." Sophie followed his gaze toward the garage. "You knew she might be." "I thought if she came, I should leave." "Why?" He laughed bitterly. "Because I'm the reason we're packing the house." "You are one reason." "One reason." "Mom and Dad made the decision. I helped them justify it. You lied." Anna left. "A lot of people made choices." Mark shook his head. "You're trying to make me feel better." "No, I'm trying to make you stop turning guilt into another form of self-importance." He stared at her. Sophie crossed her arms. "You made a terrible decision. You lied about Anna. You pressured Mom and Dad. You don't get to erase that. But you also don't get to sit in this car acting like your shame is more important than helping them pack." Mark looked toward the house again. "What am I supposed to say to her?" "The truth would be new." He almost smiled. Then he got out of the car. Anna was carrying a box down the hallway when she saw him. She stopped. Mark stopped too. The air changed instantly. Elaine looked between them. Robert moved as though he might intervene, but Anna shook her head. Mark's face was pale. "Hi," he said. Anna set the box down. "Hi." He rubbed his hands together. "I can go." That seems to be everyone's solution when things get uncomfortable. He flinched. "You're right." Anna waited. Mark looked at the floor. "I lied about you." Nobody moved. He forced himself to continue. "I told Sophie you wanted the house. I implied Mom and Dad thought that too. I knew they didn't. I knew you had been keeping track of expenses because Dad asked you to. I made it sound different because I needed everyone to see you as unreasonable." Anna's hands began shaking. "Why?" "Because if you were reasonable, then I was asking our parents to do something reckless." The words hung between them. Mark's eyes filled. "And I knew you would keep pushing until they saw that. So you made them afraid of me." "And yes." Elaine covered her mouth. Mark looked at Anna. I was scared. I thought if the business failed, I would be nothing. I had employees depending on me. Denise thought I had everything under control. Mom and Dad were proud of me. You were the only person who kept asking the questions I didn't want to answer. Anna's voice cracked. So you punished me for being right? And yes. He did not soften it. Anna turned away, wiping her face. Mark continued, I don't expect you to forgive me. Good. I mean it. Anna turned back sharply. You don't get points for admitting it after the house is sold. I know. You took $175,000 from Mom and Dad. I know. You let them believe I was trying to control them. I know. You let Sophie think I was counting every dollar because I wanted more than my share. I know. I gave up years, Mark. His face broke. I know. No, you don't. Anna's voice rose. You don't know what it was like to sit in an emergency room alone because you were too busy. You don't know what it was like to turn down promotions because Dad couldn't drive after surgery. You don't know what it cost me to end a relationship because every emergency became my emergency. You flew in twice a year, brought wine, made everyone laugh, and then went home. And somehow you still got to decide what my motives were. Mark was crying now. Anna did not stop. You called what I did errands. I was cruel. You said nobody asked me to make myself indispensable. I was wrong. No, you were partly right. Mark looked confused. Anna took a breath. Nobody forced me to do everything. I kept saying yes. I let this family build a life around my ability to absorb the problems. That part is mine. Her parents looked at her with pain. But you used that truth to erase everything I gave. That part is yours. Mark nodded slowly. I know. For once, Anna believed he did. She picked up the box. I can't forgive you today. I understand. I don't know when I can. I understand that too. She walked past him. Mark did not follow. They spent the rest of the day packing. The family moved awkwardly around one another at first, but work has a way of creating temporary peace. Boxes needed labels, furniture needed measuring, old clothes needed sorting. The dining table was disassembled, the refrigerator was emptied. Anna found herself beside Sophie in the upstairs hallway, both carrying stacks of linens. Sophie said, I should have defended you. Anna looked at her. I should have asked you instead of asking myself whether Mark's story made my life easier. Anna lowered the towels onto a box. Why did you believe him? Sophie answered honestly. Because I felt guilty. Anna waited. You were doing everything. Every time Mom said you had taken Dad to another appointment or paid for another repair, I felt like a terrible daughter. If I believed you wanted control, then I didn't have to feel as bad. Anna's eyes filled. That hurts. I know. But thank you for telling me. Sophie nodded. They stood in silence. Then Sophie said, I don't want us to go back either. Anna smiled faintly. Dad said the same thing. Maybe for once he has a good idea. Anna laughed unexpectedly. It was the first time the sisters had laughed together in nearly a year. The house sold 2 weeks later. Robert and Elaine moved into a modest 2-bedroom condo 15 minutes from Sophie. The first morning there, Elaine called Anna because she could not figure out the thermostat. Anna stared at the phone ringing. Old Anna would have answered immediately and driven over. New Anna let it ring once more, then answered. Hi, Mom. I can't get this thermostat to. Anna smiled. Did you read the manual? There was offended silence. Anna. Mom. Elaine sighed, no. Read the first page. If it still doesn't work, call me tonight. There was a pause. Okay. And Mom. And yes. You can figure some things out without me. Elaine's voice softened. I suppose I need to learn. We both do. That became the new pattern. Anna helped, but she did not automatically rescue. Sophie created a shared family calendar and took responsibility for half the medical appointments. Robert learned online banking. Elaine kept her own list of household contacts. Mark, once his finances stabilized enough to work again, took a salaried job with a construction supplier and began making monthly payments to his parents. They were small at first. $200. Then $300. Then $5. The amount could not restore the house, but the consistency mattered. He sold several expensive watches and put the money toward Robert and Elaine's remaining debt. He stopped talking about what he had lost and began talking about what he owed. 6 months after the move, Anna received a certified letter. Inside was a legal agreement prepared by Mark. It acknowledged the amount of money their parents had borrowed for his company and established a repayment plan. More importantly, it stated that if Robert and Elaine died before the debt was repaid, the remaining balance would be deducted from Mark's share of their estate before anything was divided among the siblings. Anna read the document twice. At the bottom was a handwritten note. You should never have had to fight for fairness. I can't undo what I did. I can stop benefiting from it. Anna sat at her kitchen table for a long time. Then she texted Mark. I received the agreement. He replied almost immediately. Okay. She typed thank you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, and appeared again. Finally, he sent I miss you. Anna stared at the words. She typed I miss you too, I'm still angry. His answer came quickly. You can be both. That was the first conversation they had that did not end in pain. A year passed. Anna traveled often for work. She became good at the regional role, then excellent. Celeste told her she had a gift for seeing systems other people overlooked. You notice what keeps things running, she said. For the first time, Anna heard that as a professional strength rather than a family obligation. She and David began dating again, slowly and deliberately. Their second relationship looked different from the first. Anna did not cancel dinner because her mother needed help choosing curtains. She did not answer non-urgent family calls during dates. When David needed support, she learned to make space for him without feeling that everyone else's needs were automatically more legitimate. One evening he asked, "Does it still feel selfish?" What? Having your own life? Anna thought about it. Sometimes. And then I do it anyway. He smiled. The biggest test came when Robert needed another cardiac procedure. Elaine called Anna first out of habit. Your father has to be at the hospital at 6 Thursday morning. Anna checked her calendar. She had a major presentation in Chicago that afternoon. Old fear rose immediately. I can change my flight, she said. Then she stopped. Elaine was quiet. Anna took a breath. Actually, I can't, not without missing something important at work. A year earlier, saying that would have filled her with shame. Elaine surprised her. That's okay. Anna blinked. It is. Sophie can take us in the morning. Mark is coming after work. You can call when you land. Anna's eyes filled. Are you sure? Yes. Her mother paused. You taught us something by leaving, Anna. Anna leaned against the kitchen counter. What? That loving someone is not the same as using whatever they are willing to give. Anna could not speak for a moment. Elaine continued, we made your generosity into a family resource. We stopped asking what it cost you. Anna wiped her eyes. Thank you for saying that. I wish I had understood sooner. So do I. The procedure went well. Anna flew home the next day and visited Robert at the hospital. Mark was already there, asleep in a chair with his head against the wall. Sophie was downstairs getting coffee. Elaine sat beside the bed reading. Robert woke when Anna entered. There she is, he said. Anna kissed his forehead. How are you? Hungry? They feed sick people like they're being punished. Anna laughed. Mark woke and sat up. For a few minutes, the four of them talked normally. Then Robert looked around the room. You know, he said, this might be the first crisis in 20 years that Anna didn't manage. Everyone went quiet. Anna raised an eyebrow. Are you disappointed? Robert smiled. Proud. Mark nodded, same. Elaine reached for Anna's hand. Something in Anna's chest loosened. Reconciliation, she was learning, did not arrive as one dramatic moment. It was not a speech followed by music and forgiveness. It was hundreds of smaller decisions. It was Sophie calling their mother before Anna had to. It was Robert reading his own insurance statements. It was Elaine learning the thermostat. It was Mark making payments even when nobody reminded him. It was Anna saying no and discovering the family survived. Another year passed before Anna and Mark had the conversation she had once believed would never happen. They were sitting in a small diner after visiting their parents. Sophie had left early to pick up her daughter from rehearsal. Robert and Elaine had gone home. Anna and Mark somehow ended up alone. Mark stirred coffee he was not drinking. Can I ask you something? Anna smiled. That depends entirely on what you ask. He laughed softly. You still say that. What? That depends entirely on what you ask. Because it's true. He nodded. Then his expression became serious. When the business failed, part of me blamed you. Anna stared at him. I know how terrible that sounds. It sounds exactly like you. He winced. Fair. Why did you blame me? Because you had warned me. Every bad thing that happened felt like proof that you had seen something about me I couldn't see myself. Anna listened. I thought you believed I was irresponsible. I did believe some of your decisions were irresponsible. That's not the same thing. No. Mark looked down at his hands. I couldn't separate what I did from who I was. If the business failed because I made bad decisions, then I thought that meant I was a failure. So I needed someone else to be wrong. And I was convenient. You were more than convenient. You were competent. Everyone trusted you. Dad praised you. Mom depended on you. I spent years feeling like the fun son who showed up for holidays while you were the real adult. Anna was surprised. You were jealous of me. Mark laughed sadly. I was jealous of someone who gave up half her life taking care of our parents. That's how messed up I was. Anna looked toward the window. I was jealous of you too. He blinked. What? You got to leave, you built something. You had a marriage, a house, employees, a life people could see. Every time you came home with stories, I felt like I had disappeared. Mark stared at her. Why didn't you say anything? Anna gave him a tired smile. Because I was the dependable one. He nodded slowly. They sat with that for a while. Finally Mark said, I am sorry I used your sacrifice against you. Anna's eyes filled. He continued, not just for lying, for making the things you gave sound ugly because I couldn't stand what they said about me. Anna looked at him. I forgive you, she said. Mark's face changed. She held up a hand. That doesn't mean I forget, and it doesn't mean trust goes back to what it was. I know. But I don't want to carry this forever. He nodded, unable to speak. Anna reached across the table. Mark took her hand. For the first time in years, they were not the responsible sister and the reckless brother. They were simply two people who had hurt each other, misunderstood each other, and finally stopped trying to win the story. Several months later, Robert and Elaine celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary. They could not host a large backyard party anymore, so Sophie offered her home. The dining room was crowded with family. Photographs from the old house were displayed on a side table. The grandchildren had made a banner. David came with Anna and spent half the evening helping Robert argue about baseball. Mark arrived early with Denise and set up the tables. At dinner, Robert tapped his spoon against his glass. Anna laughed. Oh no. I'm allowed one speech every 5 years, he said. Everyone quieted. Robert looked around the table. 5 years ago, I made a speech about family and gratitude. I thought I understood both things. His eyes found Anna. I didn't. Anna felt her throat tighten. Robert continued, I thought gratitude was saying thank you after someone carried a burden. I know now that sometimes gratitude means noticing the burden early enough that they don't have to carry it alone. Elaine reached for his hand. I thought family meant we would always be there for each other, he said. I know now that family also means we have to be careful not to turn the most reliable person into the person who is responsible for everyone. Anna looked down. Mark raised his glass. To shared responsibility. Sophie laughed. That is the least poetic toast I've ever heard. I'm in recovery from dramatic speeches, Mark said. Everyone laughed. Robert lifted his glass. To Anna, not our manager, not our fixer, our daughter, our sister, and a woman with her own life. Anna's eyes filled. David squeezed her hand under the table. To Anna, everyone repeated. She looked around at the people she loved. The family was not healed because the house had been replaced. It had not been. The old Mercer home now belonged to strangers. The maple tree still stood in a yard they no longer visited. The pencil marks in the hallway had probably been painted over. There were consequences that apologies could not erase. But something important had survived. Not the old version of the family. Something better. After dinner, Anna stepped outside onto Sophie's back porch. The evening air was cool. Through the window she could see her mother helping the grandchildren with dessert, Robert laughing at something David said, Sophie clearing plates, and Mark standing at the sink washing dishes without being asked. Anna smiled. Mark noticed her through the glass and came outside. You okay? He asked. Yeah. He leaned against the railing beside her. Do you ever miss the house? All the time. Me too. They were quiet. I used to think losing it was the worst thing I did, Mark said. Anna looked at him. It wasn't. No. The worst thing was making you feel like you didn't belong in the family you were holding together. Anna swallowed. And the best thing you've done since? She asked. Mark thought about it. Stopped expecting forgiveness to erase the debt. Anna smiled. That was a good start. He smiled too. Inside, Elaine opened the door. Are you two hiding from cleanup? Anna and Mark looked at each other. Apparently we're still her children, Mark said. Unfortunately, Anna replied. Elaine laughed. Anna followed them inside. Years earlier, she had believed belonging meant being needed. She had confused exhaustion with loyalty, usefulness with love, and sacrifice with proof that she mattered. When the family betrayed her, she thought the betrayal had destroyed everything she had spent years protecting. But the truth was more complicated. Leaving had cost her the version of family she knew. It had also forced everyone to confront the parts of that family that depended on her silence. Robert and Elaine learned that love could become entitlement when gratitude was not paired with responsibility. Sophie learned that guilt could make a convenient lie feel true. Mark learned that shame did not excuse cruelty and that accountability had to survive long after apologies were spoken. Anna learned something too. She learned that forgiveness did not require returning to the place where the wound was created. It did not require pretending betrayal was a misunderstanding. It did not mean giving people unlimited access to her time, her money, or her strength. Forgiveness, for Anna, meant she could remember without reliving. She could love without surrendering herself. She could answer the phone because she wanted to, not because she believed disaster would follow if she didn't. And the family learned to meet her there. A few months after the anniversary, Anna and David bought a small house together. It was nothing like the Mercer house. It had a narrow porch, an awkward kitchen, and a backyard barely large enough for a table. Anna loved it immediately. On moving day, the entire family arrived. Sophie brought sandwiches. Robert supervised despite being forbidden to lift anything heavy. Elaine unpacked dishes. Mark showed up with a truck and spent 6 hours assembling furniture. At one point, Anna found him in the hallway holding a pencil. "What are you doing?" she asked. He pointed at the doorframe. Sophie's youngest daughter stood barefoot against it, while Mark marked her height. Anna froze. For a moment she saw the old hallway, the faded pencil marks, the house they had lost. Mark looked at her uncertainly. "Should I not?" Anna's eyes filled. "No," she said, "do it." He wrote the child's name and date beside the line. Then he handed Anna the pencil. "Your house," he said. Anna looked at the mark. Her house. Not because she had inherited it. Not because she had sacrificed enough to earn it. Not because anyone owed it to her. Because she had chosen it. Because she had built a life that belonged to her. That evening, after everyone left, Anna stood in the quiet hallway with David. The single pencil mark looked almost absurdly small against the freshly painted wall. David slipped his hand into hers. "You okay?" Anna smiled through tears. And yes, she was. The next morning, Elaine called. Anna answered on the third ring. "Morning, Mom. I just wanted to know whether you found the coffee maker." And yes. And whether Mark remembered to tighten the dining table legs. And yes. And whether. Anna laughed, "Mom." Elaine stopped. "I am trying not to manage you," she said. "You're doing a terrible job." "I know." They both laughed. Then Elaine's voice softened. "I'm proud of you." Anna looked around the kitchen at unopened boxes and morning light. "For the house. For building a life after we made you feel guilty for having one." Anna closed her eyes. "Thank you. I love you. I love you too." After they hung up, Anna made coffee and carried it onto the porch. She thought about the years she had spent trying to preserve a house because she believed it held the family together. She had paid bills, repaired roofs, arranged appointments, and protected everyone from consequences until she had become part daughter, part sister, part emergency service. Then the house was lost anyway. For a long time that seemed like proof that everything she had done had been wasted. Now she understood differently. The love had not been wasted. The time had not been meaningless. The care she gave had been real, even when people failed to honor it properly. But love was not supposed to require her disappearance. That was the lesson she carried forward. Years later, when Robert died peacefully at 79, the family gathered not in the old Mercer house, but in Anna's backyard. By then the small maple sapling Robert had planted there on moving day had grown tall enough to cast a little shade. The grandchildren told stories. Sophie brought photo albums. Mark stood beside Anna while they listened to Elaine describe the day she first met Robert at a grocery store and disliked him immediately. There was grief, but there was no unfinished war. Before his death, Robert had written each of his children a letter. Anna opened hers alone that night. "My dear Anna, I once told you that you shouldn't lose your future because you helped us keep ours. Then I became part of the reason you nearly did. You forgave me more generously than I deserved, but the greatest gift you gave me was not forgiveness. It was the chance to know you as an adult whose life did not belong to me. I watched you build a home without making yourself responsible for everyone inside it. I watched your brother become a better man because you refused to protect him from what he had done. I watched your sister become closer to you because both of you learned to speak before resentment hardened into stories. The old house mattered to me. Losing it hurt, but I was wrong when I thought a family could be kept safe by preserving a building. A family is kept safe when the truth is welcome there. Thank you for bringing the truth back into ours. Love always. Dad?" Anna sat on the edge of her bed and cried. David found her there and sat beside her without speaking. After a while, Anna handed him the letter. He read it, folded it carefully, and returned it. "He got it," David said. Anna nodded. "He did." The next weekend, the family gathered again. Mark brought a small wooden box. Inside was the brass key from the old Mercer house. Anna stared at it. How did you get this? Dad kept it after the sale, Mark said. He gave it to me a few months ago, told me to decide what to do with it. Anna turned the key over in her palm. It no longer opened anything they owned. Mark smiled faintly. I thought maybe we could put it under a flower pot. Anna looked at him. When they were children, Elaine had always hidden a spare house key under a clay flower pot beside the porch. Everyone knew it was there. Mark had lost his own key so often that the flower pot became a family joke. Anna laughed through tears. You want to hide a key that opens a stranger's house under my flower pot? When you say it like that, it sounds weird. It is weird. Sophie joined them. What are you two doing? Mark showed her the key. Sophie's face softened. Dad kept it. Mark nodded. Anna looked toward the porch where a large blue ceramic pot held a rosemary plant. Fine, she said, but nobody tries to use it. They walked outside together. Anna lifted the flower pot. Mark placed the old key beneath it. Sophie shook her head. This is sentimental nonsense. You're crying, Mark said. I'm allergic to rosemary. You hate rosemary. Exactly. Anna laughed. They stood there for a moment, 3 adult siblings around a flower pot, honoring a house that was no longer theirs, and a family that had almost broken itself trying to decide what that house meant. Then Anna lowered the pot over the key. It stayed there for years. Not as a symbol of what they had lost. As a reminder. The old key could not take them backward. That was never the point. It reminded them that home was not the place one person sacrificed everything to preserve. Home was the place where nobody had to earn belonging by being useful. It was the place where apology had consequences, where forgiveness had boundaries, where love was spoken in gratitude and practiced in responsibility. And whenever the family gathered at Anna's house, someone eventually joked about the useless key under the flower pot. Robert's absence remained painful. The old Mercer house remained a memory. Mark's debt took years to repay. Some wounds never disappeared completely. But the family no longer needed them to disappear. They had learned how to live honestly around the scars. Anna had once believed the greatest tragedy would be losing the house they were supposed to share. Instead, the tragedy had nearly been losing each other while fighting over what the house represented. In the end, they did not get the old house back. They got something harder to rebuild. Trust. And this time, they built it together.